All right, guys, welcome to another edition of FBA Rockstar Hangout. I think this is number 8-ish. I don't know off the top of my head. I go to YouTube and look it up afterwards. My name is Charles Leslie. Chaz, as I'm known as in life. That's kind of my nickname. Coach Chaz in the health and fitness industry, and then just Chaz in FBA e-commerce. So if you guys are new to the group, we have like 1150 in our group right now, which is absolutely nuts. We hit 1,000 members within the first 2 months of the year. I think we ended 2015 with like 50 people. I just started this group probably halfway through November, getting closer to December. So the fact that in under 3 months we've hit 1,000 members is nuts. I remember telling some of our people that were in the beginning group, the first couple, we were like, yeah, that'd be super cool if we can hit 1,000 members in 2016. Holy shit, we did that in less than 3 months. That's crazy. So congratulations to all of you newbies out there. I know a lot of you have a lot of questions. A lot of this stuff is very difficult to really wrap your head around. It all comes down to just sending in your first shipment. You will learn so much more by just sending in your own shipment for the first time than you will asking 1,000 questions on Facebook. And I can say that because that's what I did. I asked a few questions on Facebook when I first started my first week, and I ended up saying, you know what, I'm just going to do it myself and go through it. So I sent in my first shipment, made a bunch of mistakes, and I learned. And then I sent in my second one and my third one, and I sent in like, I want to say 15 shipments my first 3 weeks. You bet your ass I learned a lot just by sending those in. So anyone who ever messages me asking for help on stuff, I usually ask, have you sent in your first shipment? And if they say no, I say that's what you need to do. Get 10 items, 20 items, 30 items, whatever, and create your first shipment, because you will learn all about the labeling, the printer. You'll learn all of it just by going through it yourself. But that's not what I'm talking about tonight. Tonight, I wanted to touch base on something that's played a big role in my life the last few years, and it's taken me a long time to really have this switch happen, and it's developing the entrepreneur mindset. A lot of people think that just because you join a business, it automatically makes you an entrepreneur, and that's not true at all. An entrepreneur is a mindset. It is not because you run a business. I know plenty of people who have joined. Most of you know I run 3 businesses total, and I have had people come into all 3 businesses, including several in FBA, that right out of the gate I can tell they're not cut out for it right now. They have not had that switch that needs to happen. So I want to touch base on 5 tips that I have used in my life, in my entrepreneur journey, and I want to share a little more background on kind of where I came from. So I first started my career as a massage therapist about 8 years ago. And then a couple years into that, I started with my health and fitness business. And then I started with FBA. So that's how my 3 businesses came along. Now, when I was doing massage therapy, I was always working for other companies. I was just an employee. So I got stuck in where most of us are, is the employee mindset of you wake up, you clock in, you do bare minimum just to get paid enough that they keep you there, and they pay you just enough that you don't quit. Les Brown, if you're into a little personal development there, that's where I got that. So you go and clock in, do bare minimum work, get paid chump change just to stay there and hang out, basically. And then you clock out and you're done with your work. You go home, enjoy your family time, dinner, whatever, and then you turn around and do it all again the next day. When you're an entrepreneur, I've learned there's no such thing as a set clock in, clock out time. When you are a true entrepreneur and you've had the mental switch that happens, if you've had the switch, you know totally what I'm talking about. If you have not had the switch, you're probably going, what the hell is he talking about right now? That's perfectly fine. You'll get there as long as you keep pushing forward. So when I was so used to going to these massage jobs that, I became a slave. I was told to be there at this time, work on this many clients. You can eat at this time. You can go pee at this time. And I got so sick and tired of living that lifestyle that I was presented with an opportunity to get involved with a health and fitness business. And that was my first big step into, okay, this is my own thing. I'm not working for anyone. I'm independent with it. And I had to make that mental switch and start to slowly transform myself into an entrepreneur to build that business. So it then became my schedule was go to my massage job. And at the time I was working on about 6 or 7 clients a day for an hour a piece, which led into shoulder issues, all that kind of stuff that comes from a physical job. So I ended up slaving away at that job. Usually my average shift was about 9 to 6-ish. And then I had about a 30-minute commute back home. So I would go to work. Technically I was away from the house 8:30 to 6:30. So then I was left with, what do I do after I clock out? I have this little baby business I'm trying to build, and it's not going to build itself. So even though I was tired, even though I was exhausted, I was in pain most days, I had to come home and make a decision. Am I going to just be lazy, or am I going to switch gears here, have the entrepreneur mindset, and build this damn thing? So I put in the late nights. I put in the early mornings. I had to work around my regular job to build what I've built today. And after I truly made that mindset switch, which was, I'll never forget, it was January 2013. I told myself I'm going to quit this job and I'm going to work for myself full time. I did that July 2013. It took me 7 months, but I built that business to the point where it replaced my job income. And that was my first big leap, was cutting the tie to a secure every 2-week paycheck. And again, for those of you that have been there and you know what it's like, you'll completely understand what I'm talking about. So when I made that first big step, then I was faced with a whole new ball game. And I learned real quick that going to a job, guys, it may not sound like it right now if you're stuck at a job, but trust me, when you work for yourself, going to a job is easy. And I mean that not in the sense that the work itself is easy. The work itself, there's a lot of manual labor jobs out there that are ass kickers. What I mean is, it's easy to go to a job because you're accountable. You don't want to get fired. So you show up, you clock in, you do your work, you clock out. That's where the accountability comes in. If you don't have a job to go to, and all of a sudden you're relying on yourself to be productive, it is 10,000 times harder to do, because we as humans are procrastinators. Most of us are lazy at heart. That's where I came from. So I was faced with learning to push myself, to set goals to keep me on track, to run my life by my calendar. If your calendar is empty, I love Eric Worre is another great guy I follow. Eric Worre talks about, when you're an entrepreneur, you have a boss. It's your calendar. If your calendar is empty, you're done. You're not going to get paid. You're going to be lazy. You're going to procrastinate everything. You have to fill your calendar. That's why I showed you guys last week on time management, right? I showed you what my calendar looks like. It's boom, 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 boom. I am 6 a.m. all the way up until 10. I'm grinding. That's what I do. So in developing that whole mindset switch and to get where I'm at now, it took 5 things. I narrowed it down to number 1. The thing I truly believe that has set me apart from a lot of people, and I think it's one of the reasons why we have the kick-ass group that we have right now, it's because I've always stayed positive. And that is such a cliche, corny thing to say, but it is so true. Through all of the shit storms, through all of the failures that I've gone through in my journey so far, I have always stayed positive and optimistic, because that allowed me, even through the tough times, to get my ass back up and to keep moving forward. And a prime example in this business, right? You order off of bulk.com, which is where these 2 pallets came from. And all of a sudden you're excited, right? You've been waiting for a week for shipping. It gets delivered. It's got the nice big blue wrapping on it. You dive into it. Boom. It's full of junk. You just got knocked on your ass. But what are you going to do? Sit down and bitch about it? Or are you going to get your ass back up, do what you can to break even, and keep moving forward? That's what I've done this whole time. I have had bad pallets show up at my doorstep. I have lost money to bad deals. I've been through shit. But you guys, all you ever see is the fact that I am positive and I keep moving forward. Little Rocky Balboa, if you guys know what I'm talking about on there. So number 1 is you have to keep positive no matter what. There's going to be tough times. There's going to be hard times. There's going to be crap that comes up in life. In your personal life, you're going to have sickness. You're going to have deaths. You're going to have all of this stuff that happens. But life is a roller coaster. You ride the highs for a little bit, and then something knocks you down. You ride the lows for a little bit. You get back up, and you keep going back and forth. That's just life. You have to learn to become mentally strong enough to always stay positive. Think about the most successful people on the planet. Generally, they all have one thing in common. They are all super kind, most of them, and they're all positive. They're always genuinely happy. They've all got smiles on their faces. And they're not smiling because they're successful. They're smiling because they know the shit they went through to become successful, and they're still standing up. That comes with positivity. That's why inside of the group, if you guys ever see a negative post, please report it, because I block and remove right away. No questions asked, no warning. Because our group is supposed to be motivation, like-minded people, and positive action. So that's tip number one. Tip number two, this is a tough one for people. It took me a long time to, especially with pallets, to get into this. You have to be willing to take risks as an entrepreneur. That can mean different things for different people. For some people, on a financial risk, it might be investing in a pallet, because sometimes you don't know what the hell you're going to get. We've all had times, if you've done pallets for a while, you know that it's kind of a crapshoot. You have a general idea of what you're getting, but sometimes you open it up and realize stuff is going to be in way worse condition than you thought. Some stuff is going to be damaged and broken and not even work. That's just part of the risk in a pallet sense. For other people, a risk might just be starting, right? It costs a little bit of money to start your whole e-commerce business. You have to have the right printer. You have to have boxes, and you have to have a shipping scale. You have to have, if you get Scotty peelers, you have to have inventory. For some people, just investing $100 could be a huge risk. But guess what? If you never take a risk, you'll never find out what your potential is, right? I know throughout my journey, I've taken several risks. You guys know my little backstory now, so I can tell you one of my biggest risks I ever took. There's two of them. One of them was when I first quit my massage job. I was working at a big time spa up here in Oregon, and I had to put in my 2-week notice, and all of a sudden I didn't have another job to go to. I was cutting that secure every 2-week paycheck. And I can tell you firsthand experience, I believe that sole reason, that paycheck every 2 weeks, that is the sole reason most people will not take a risk, is because it's fear. It will just dwindle you down and pin you down and keep you there if you allow it. I had to learn to overcome that fear, and I said, I'm going to feel the fear, and I'm going to do it anyways. And I had to quit that job. I was not in a great place mentally. Physically, I was, at the time I was severely pretty overweight. I lost 50 pounds, for those of you that don't know. Part of it was due to doing those kinds of jobs. Stress, junk food, just poor eating habits, all that kind of stuff played a role in it. And so I had to take that big risk, and I had to cut the toxin out of my life. So that was my first big risk. It was a big leap of faith. And then my second big one, which was actually recently, was even though I was my own entrepreneur in my own little world, we still had my wife's paycheck coming in. She's in the medical field. So we still had her paycheck to rely on the crappy months that I had. Sometimes I would barely break even. I would make no money. And we would be able to take my wife's paycheck and still pay her bills. So you can imagine the amount of fear that we had when we started to see success with Amazon FBA, and we started to question, should my wife quit her job and do this at home full time with me? That was the second biggest, that was probably even a bigger fear than the first time, was because that was the final secure paycheck we were cutting. And she did that a month ago. So for the last month, we have had no secure every 2-week paycheck. It's solely been relying on the 3 businesses that I've started. Now my wife is fortunate enough to come home and help me with all of this, which has been a blessing, but that didn't come without taking a huge risk. And I'm not recommending, for 1 second, I know somebody's going to message me and be like, well, I think that you're telling people to quit their jobs. No, that's not what I'm saying. You have to make smart, educated decisions here. You're a business owner now. But it all comes down to, you have to be willing to take some risk. I'm not saying go all in with an expensive pallet, go quit your job. you have to be in a good financial place to be able to quit your job and do this. Amazon has to be making you some good money for you to be able to quit your job. But it all comes down to taking those little risks. And again, it's going to be different for each person. So whatever risk that you're facing right now that you've been questioning, I challenge you to really just stop with the questions, stop with the analyzing, stop getting paralyzed by fear, and take that first step towards it. Take that first step. That's where most people get stopped, is that first step. I have definitely noticed in the FBA community, especially for new people, a lot of people like to come in and think, oh, wow, yeah, I'm going to do this. And then a week goes by, and 2 weeks goes by, and a month goes by, maybe 2 months or 3 months goes by. They have not sent in their first shipment. Why? It's because they're stuck in this analyzing mode, question asking. They're asking 1,000 questions. They're analyzing and questioning every single thing, but they don't actually take the first step to do it. And you guys all know me by now. I'm a pretty no BS type person. I'm the type that I don't like to read other people's reviews. I like to go through it myself and create my own review, because it's the same way with pallets. It's the same way with, I got my first truckload. All of this stuff that I've done, it's because I don't trust other people's reviews. I want to go through it myself. And here's an example, an analogy. If you have 10 people go to the same restaurant, are you going to have all 10 people on the exact same review level? No, some people are going to love it, go back several times. Some people are going to hate it and tell all their friends, don't go there, it's horrible. There's so many different extremes to the spectrum. So I recommend that you stop with the questions. You take the first step and you learn through trial and error. That's the best learning experience you can ever go through, is just going through it yourself. Creating your first shipment, for example. Create your first shipment. Take 20 items. I don't care what they are. Books around your house, something. Take 20 items. Create the shipment. Learn how to put the labels on and take the stickers off and do all the crap that comes with it, the prep work. Learn how to box it. Learn how to label it. Ship it. Done. Move on to your next one. That's the best learning experience you can get. Stay positive. Be willing to take a risk. Number 3, this is a big, big one. I touched base on this a little bit already. You need to learn to get out of the employee mindset. So many people come into the FBA community and they are expecting people to hold their hands. They're expecting a clock in, clock out mentality. That's not going to happen. You need to treat your business like a business, which means you need to learn the basics. You need to do the research. You need to learn the foundation. You need to learn about everything you can. And guess what? Here's the kicker. All of that information is 100% available to you. You have our group files on top of the group. I say this multiple times a day inside of the group. Check the group files, because most questions that people ask are already answered inside of these calls, inside of the group files themselves. And if you can't find it there, guess where you can find it? Amazon Seller Central. Your whole online office area. Go into help. They have a whole online university you can go through. They have a whole FAQ section, all that kind of stuff. So learn to be self-driven enough that you're going to go find the answer. And if you can't find the answer on your own, then you ask the question, not the other way around. I think a lot of people get caught in the act of, oh, I'm just going to ask the question and expect everyone else to help me out, which, that's great. That's what we're here for. But to an extent, you're a business owner. We're all business owners here. That doesn't mean that everyone is an entrepreneur. Again, just because you own a business does not mean you're an entrepreneur. It's a mindset switch that needs to happen. And big part of that is number 3, which is get out of the employee mindset. You cannot show up in the morning, clock in, half-ass your way throughout your work day, and then clock out and be done. No, you have to be all in with this thing. I am not preaching to the people who want to do this as a little side hobby. That's fine. You can go do that. I'm preaching to the people that you say you want to do this full time. You say all of these great things you want to accomplish with it, but there's little to no action to back it up. Get out of the employee mindset, because no one is going to be here to tell you what to do. You have to stand up on your own 2 feet and learn to push forward and learn your own business. Learn your own business model. How do you want to build this thing? Learn that and then push forward and use the group as support and accountability. Number 4, set goals and follow through. This is a huge one. Most people lack to set any type of goals, whether that be a financial goal in the business, whether that be goals in life, right? Look at how many resolution people set goals and they don't even start by the time March gets here. We're a week away from March right now. And I can relate this over to my health and fitness business because that's notorious for January. I get so many people that message me the first week of January. Hey, Chaz, I'm ready to start. I promote 21 Day Fix, P90X, kind of those home programs. So I get a lot of people that are like, yeah, I want to start 21 Day Fix. I want to do P90X. I want to get on Shakeology. I want to do this and this and this. I say the same thing to everybody. Okay, great. What are your goals for the year? Well, I just want to get healthy. No, you need to get specific. For health, how many pounds do you want to lose? Do you want to sleep better? Do you want to have more energy? Do you want to play with your kids and not get winded? You have to be specific with those goals. And then you have to backtrack them, reverse engineer it to create a daily action plan that's going to help push you forward to those goals. So in the FBA business, right, you sit up here and you say, I want to make 6 figures this year. I want to make $100,000 in sales. Great. That's not specific enough. Break that down to how much do I need to sell per month and per week to stay on track to hit that goal. You need to get specific with those goals. Once you find out what your goals are, then you can create a further action plan and ask yourself, what do I need to do to get this done, which will help me get to this goal? A daily action plan. That might be, I need to source every single morning online for 45 minutes. That might be, I need to block off 2 hours of time to go to Walmart and Target and scan my heart out. Whatever goals you set, you need to come up with an action plan. Actual little steps you can take. That's where another big wall is. A lot of people love to talk the talk. Not many of them will back it up with action and actually get out there and walk. Here's the killer. Those who actually walk the walk don't have to talk anymore. You see their success. They don't have to brag about it. They don't have to talk about it. They don't have to talk about their big goals. They prove it. They show it. They earn it. That's an entrepreneur. So that's number 4, set goals, and I'll add create an action plan and follow through with it. Because it's pointless to make, just like I talked about last week, it's pointless to make a daily checklist of getting stuff done and then not doing it, right? I always joke, just like I did last week, if you make a to-do list for your day, for your week, for your month, your first item on that checklist, that to-do list should be do the to-do list. That's where most people stop. They don't actually do it. Number 5, the most important one. Again, I'm not talking to the hobby people, which is fine. I understand people have full-time jobs, full-time family life, whatever. So you're doing it as a hobby. That's great. This isn't for you. For those of you that say you want to make this thing an honest business, you want to create income, you want to quit your jobs, you want to create wealth and finances in your life, you want to provide for your family, all these great goals, that's fine. But you have to be willing to take this shit seriously. That's number 5. Take this shit seriously. Again, a lot of people get into this business and any business in general. I've run 3 of them, so I've seen it in all 3. It's all the same. Every business is run the same, is how I've learned. You get people that come in and they're all about the talk, the big goals, the big flashy things. They're chasing the cars and the dreams and blah, blah, blah. And then after a month, you can check back in with them and ask, how are things going? And they might say, oh yeah, it's going great. I'm doing this and this and this and this. Okay, cool. What do your numbers look like? Well, I haven't really done a whole lot. You're not taking it seriously. I don't work with those people. I work with the ones who are ready to work. One of my best pieces of advice I ever got in my health and fitness business as a coach, because I hit a point in my coaching business where I would take on a lot of clients that just wasted my time. And so I was once told, work with the willing, meaning work with those people who are ready to work, right? Let that be you. If you're ready to work, take this shit seriously. This is literally your livelihood on the line. If you are at that level in your life where you need to make this work, your family, your life depends on it. So every day that you choose to skip doing a shipment, every day that you choose to skip going out and doing your RA or your OA or whatever your sourcing technique is, every day you choose to skip that, that's a day further out that you're pushing off accomplishing those goals. Take this shit seriously and get it done. That's where it comes from. I don't sit up here and talk about this stuff as like some big time FBA person because I'm not. I'm a newbie myself, guys. I'm only in this for 4 freaking months. But I can sit up here as somebody who's been in business for 8 years. And I can tell you based on my experience, it is more mental than anything. It's not about the numbers. It's not about the sourcing. It's not about any of it except for the mental part. And that mental part is becoming an entrepreneur. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you don't care about anything but success. You become obsessed with it. It's all you think about. It's everything in your blood will help you push forward when you're an entrepreneur. That's the difference between an employee and an entrepreneur. So aside from that, guys, thank you for hopping on here. Does not look like we had anything on Q&A inside of the chat, so we'll go ahead and call it a night. I tried to make this short and sweet for you. Hopefully somebody took something out of this. If you're watching the recording on YouTube or on the Facebook page, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys thought. If you took something out of it, what was that golden nugget that maybe I talked about that you took out of it? What are you going to take out of this message that you can use in an action and push forward with it? So aside from that, you guys keep kicking ass. Appreciate you. Love you. Real quick, Matt asks, can we have more details about your mentoring program that you are planning? I do not have any details right now. Again, I want to gain more experience under my belt in FBA specifically before I coach others on it. So we have the group. That's all we have for now. I will be taking on one-on-one clients later on in the future when I have more experience that I can share and talk about. But for now, I'm just enjoying the process of kicking ass in the business, helping you guys out when I have time to, and just growing, learning together, right? So aside from that, you guys have a great night. Peace out. I'll see you later.